Psychology in fonts is a big thing too. Sorry, start creating your portfolio. Start looking at what other people are doing out there. Throughout my career, it's been great. And don't get me wrong, I've had some ups and downs, but there are times when I walk into a room and I might not see somebody that looks like me. There are hundreds, thousands of graphic designers out there. So I suppose the first stop is, why would you come to me and use me to the fullest? I actually wrote a blog saying some reasons not to work with me.
So hello everyone, and welcome to Just Send It to Marketing, a podcast where we analyze a brand, a story, a campaign, but most of all things marketing. If you haven't been following us over the last 2 seasons, you will notice a difference in the format now. From now on, we will bring a marketing or brand expert in every episode to talk about the journey, talk about the business, and give us really insightful tips. For this episode, I would like to welcome Angela. She's a graphic designer and the founder of Lyons Creative. Angela, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Andre. Thank you, Frashi. Honestly, it's a real honour to be here. So thank you so much for asking me. I'm really pleased to be here. And I love your podcast, so thank you. I've been listening in since you told me we had it. So thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. It's really, really nice to hear when people listen to us. That's the whole reason why we're doing it.
Yes, Angela.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about your graphic designer journey, your business, and I have a few more questions to ask along the way.
Of course, yeah, sure. So I started graphic design. It wasn't actually my degree, funny enough. I actually studied a degree in product design at Central St Martin's in London. And when I did my product design degree, I tried to get a job, couldn't find a job. And then one of the things that I got was work experience in Habitat, and I ended up working in Habitat. I don't know if you know the furniture retail company. It's much more than that, though, isn't it, Habitat? And I was in the head office, and I wasn't even in the design department. Well, I was technically, but I was a receptionist. I was covering maternity leave.
But you're there.
I need to start somewhere.
Yeah,
exactly. But the thing was, there was a graphic designer in that room, and he, on my lunch breaks, I used to come sit next to him, and he'd say, "Come and have a look at this and see what he's doing." And obviously, we had Macs at college and uni, but obviously they were I'm a little bit older than you guys, I'm sure, but they were Macs were just coming into the forefront of design and all the design software. And can you believe it? There was still PageMaker when I used to until I started design. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, briefly. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm happy to see the project doesn't. But
yeah.
That's good project. That's really good.
Her face was good there. But yeah, I started to watch what he did, and he basically said, "Oh, why don't you try this?" And then I took an evening class and did a 1 day a week course in graphic design, and basically taught myself graphic design. I kind of knew of it, but I hadn't really done it properly from years at college. And then I just basically expanded on that and just kept on getting jobs, and then kept on working. And here I am today. How many years later? Over 20 years later.
Wow.
I work. Yeah. I've been a graphic designer for over 20 years, and Lyons Creative has been going for 12 years. And I often change my tagline to graphic designer, to freelance graphic designer. And at the moment, I'm a brand and marketing graphic designer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I sell my services to companies that don't have, pretty much most companies who I work with don't have a marketing department. Well, they have a marketing department, but they don't have a graphic designer within the marketing department. So I pitch myself towards them for that, really. And I work with publishers, corporate clients, from risk managers to the insurance industry to small businesses, charities.
It's very diverse.
Yeah, very diverse. I don't like doing the same thing. I get a bit bored, so I like to mix it up a bit. And I've not really got a niche, should we say. But I started in magazines quite a lot, designing a lot of magazines. So a lot of people, I suppose, from my years ago saw me just as a magazine designer, but now I do a bit of everything.
Yeah. Do you? I think I saw your the freelance magazine cover.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That you designed. Did you design just the cover, or was the whole magazine?
So I designed the whole magazine. I've been working on it since day one with Sophie Cross. And Freelance Magazine itself, it's a independent publisher through Sophie. And so on the team, it's Sophie and myself. We work with other freelancers, but I design it from page 1 to page 100. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah. So we're actually into issue 16 at the moment, which is great. It's still going strong.
Oh,
Got a good community. But yeah, I designed that. And that's how I met Sophie, actually, funny enough. I was designing a magazine for a hotel, and we worked together on that. So she was the editor and I was the designer. So, yeah. And then she set up her own magazine, and I've been with her since.
No, it's brilliant, isn't it? How these connections happen, and then that just evolved into kind of business friendship and like a long-lasting kind of client, if you like.
Angela, when you said that you're designing the magazine, which is a huge part of print media, okay, so are there I've heard that there are a lot of challenges. So we were doing Lakme Fashion Week like three years back, and we wanted to advertise in print media, and we were looking for a graphic designer who can design the same for us. So I realized that there are so many restrictions from a client side, like, don't use this color, don't use that color, yellow color says, for example, when I saw your website and I saw the yellow color, my first instinct was, oh my God, this is a happy color. So that's a color psychology that comes in my mind, but not everyone is aware of that. So how do you convince, do you have to convince the client that, this is according to industry standards, or this is how marketing should look like, or any example of the same?
Yeah, I'd say that's kind of like a two-parter, I'd say, because some clients that I work with already have their brand in place. But if I'm starting a brand from scratch, yes, I would definitely 100% work out what they stand for first before we even get into the colours. But colours-wise are so important, the psychology of colours. But I know you work in marketing and you work in branding, but can you imagine the average person on the street, if they came to my website and just thought, oh, that's a lot of yellow, that would make me feel happy, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Because that's the power of colour psychology. If there was a lot of red, it might just be maybe just a little bit jarring. But also, red's a bit of a strange one, because if you put it on a call to action button, for example, and you had like red and green, what colour would you pick if you were going to say buy now?
Yeah.
Wow, green.
You see? So what would you pick? I'd pick the red. I'd be like, oh my God, I better buy now. It's an emergency.
Yeah.
I better buy now.
Oh, yeah.
I would pick the red, yeah.
So what did you pick green, Prashi?
Yes, I picked green because
It's
it's signal saying, start. Buy now.
But this is
Oh, wow, it's dynamic.
So it's really dynamic. It's really dynamic. With something like that, you'd have to have some sort of say for it's an email, or I don't know, or what do you call it? Oh gosh, what's the word of it? Like a MPU, on the website, an advertisement, like a banner or something. If the call to action was red or green, you'd have to do A/B testing just to see which one worked, because otherwise, to test out your audience, see which ones they go for. As if you can, want to go into that test level of testing. But colour-wise, sorry, go.
No, but it also goes back to your audience as well, doesn't it? It depends on your target, or even the target, and because that could be green, for example. But and I think there's a college values from the person as well. So, like for example, Brazilians, we associate green to a different thing. For me, green,
it's cultural. It's cultural,
exactly,
isn't it? Yeah.
So my Brazilian flag is green. I have greenery in Brazil. So for me, green, it relates to nature, or a more
growth.
Kind of, could be growth. Yeah. Mind, I don't know why, but mindfulness or that kind of thing. And it's different for everybody. But that's how you come with your color psychology, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah. And there are loads of, if you look it up on the internet, there's lots of books on it. I've got colour books, and the psychology around colour is massive. It's so big. But when it comes to, as I said, with my clients, if I'm working with them and they're starting from scratch, I would love to know what they're about. Well, I have to know what they're about. I'll give them a questionnaire, find out, what their values are, how they want to be seen out there. I've recently done a project for somebody, a scientist actually, and she loves Scandinavian colours. So can you imagine, that's really calming, really relaxing. But I said to her, she's a storyteller, and her business is selling the story of science, and she's so cool, and you want to make it exciting. So I was like, let's reflect that a little bit. I did start with a Scandi colours, but I just added a little bit something else just to say, this is how it looks. And she went for the more exciting colours. Do you see what I mean? So I'm not saying that Scandi colours are not exciting, but we know they're quite muted, quite calm.
Calm, yeah.
Yeah.
So you need a funky version of the Scandinavian colours.
I did, yeah.
That's
like my jumper.
Oh, I love your jumper. Oh, I love it. And for those that are listening to it, watch on YouTube, Angela's got this beautiful, how do you describe that? It's a kind of a lightning
It's a lightning bolts, pink lightning bolts
pink. Yeah.
on a blue purpley background.
And I just realized we're all in blue. All of us. We're all in
Yes.
blue. And yeah,
In
fantastic.
the
Isn't
similar
it?
shade.
Good
Did
connection.
we get the branding memo today?
Well, we did, yeah. I hope I put in an email. But so graphic design, I think, is a really important part. And we work together as a marketeer. I always had people helping me with the graphic design, and that, for example, you, Angie, you have the clients as well. So you have the team, the marketing team, and they have you as their design hand, if you like. And that's a help that you always need. Those two departments, they need to work together, don't they? The
Yeah.
projects, they have to come together because you can't have a design going to one direction and marketing and wanting something else.
Yeah, yeah. And I suppose that's also ties in with having your brand guidelines and being consistent with your brand, because otherwise you'll just be one, as you said, the designer's off there doing something that they love and they're going crazy, and then the marketing are like, well, we need to say this, but the brand designer may be saying, well, I didn't know about that. I didn't have the guidelines to work towards. I didn't know. We did maybe even sometimes didn't have that meeting. They just said, here's a brief and just go and do anything. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have had ones like that before in the past, but I've always said to them, where are your guidelines? And then they go, oh yeah. And then they send them. So you need to be, yeah, when they have them. We all know that some companies have like 1,000-page, oh no, I'm joking, 100-page brand document. And then some companies, like myself, I set one up for myself. I've got 10 pages in my brand guidelines. So, but as long as you've got some sort of guide to be consistent and get the same values and tone out there, that is totally important, I think. 100%.
Do you think the same kind of psychology or the same ethics when it comes to work with the colors, for example? Do you translate that to the font as well when you work in a brand, and like say a brand from the scratch? Do you try to match the values, where the company is aiming to go in 5 years' time to the font as well?
100%. It's everything has to tie in. So even down from the colors to the fonts, to logo types, to the strapline, everything. But going back to fonts, which, I don't know if you do know, but I love fonts. I have a newsletter that I send out once a month on fonts, and I love it.
What's the newsletter called?
It's called Font Love Friday and Other Designery Things. And I will pick a font a month. But anyway, we're not talking about me, we're not talking about the newsletter, we're talking about fonts. And it's another thing. Psychology in fonts is a big thing too. I can give some examples, because you don't want to have, say, for example, a script font if you're a serious corporate business. I mean, having a script somewhere in your marketing might help, but maybe just a touch of it. But also with scripts, you've got to think about accessibility, if people understand it, if people read it. If you're going to go for a font that's quite it's like a Bayless font, that's really bold and really headliney, really out there, like punch you in your face type. You don't want that for a baby brand. Do you see what I mean? Right. So there's a whole psychology of fonts. That's another issue that people and designers need to think about, and marketing departments need to think about. And again, there's lots of psychology on fonts out there, why people choose them. There's a lady that I follow, and I've met her actually. I met her this year. I was in awe of her. Her name's Sarah Heineman, and she wrote. She talks a lot about fonts, and at the moment she's got something called type testing, but it's like you smell it and you taste type, and what you think about what that type would look like, or what it would smell like, or what it would taste like. It sounds really crazy and a bit out there, but it's quite fun when I get her emails and like I see what font she's talking about, and we have to guess the psychology of why I would pick that font. Like, if it was an ice cream brand, which font would you pick? Would it be the spiky one, or would it be the soft one, or that sort of thing, the bold one?
That's so interesting.
It's really,
very different.
Yes. But it's funny. The other day I was looking at it's actually, I think, where did I see it? I think I got an email from somebody, or someone posted it on Instagram. Somebody posted it on Instagram as a story. I don't know if you've seen that toilet roll brand, Who Gives a Crap?
No.
Have you heard of it? Have you not heard of it?
I don't think I have.
Have a look at that brand and have a look at the marketing around that. It is fantastic, because basically it is just toilet roll, right? It's just toilet roll, but it has the eco side behind it. But the font they've used is quite retro and a bit 70s, and the colours are really bold and bright. And it's kind of appealing to this, how should we say, I suppose more of a friendly, eco-conscious type of person.
Okay.
Because it just has this contemporary look around it.
Yeah.
The funny name is like the name of it is like, who gives a crap? And you're just like, I'm going to find out a bit more about this toilet roll.
That's right.
Yeah, intriguing.
That's true.
Intriguing.
I know.
And the thing is, this toilet roll, you can't even go. Well, I don't know if you can go to the shop, but you get it mail ordered. It's just like. But people, yeah, have a look. It's the font behind that. They've got this really 70s font, and I just thought, wow, they've kind of gone back in time to this retro, comfortable feeling of like the 70s. I don't know. It's just
Yeah,
really
it is.
good.
It's interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well, as you know, I was recently in New Zealand, and there's the New Zealand are famous for pies, so they have mince pies. So it's something similar to the British pie, but in a smaller. You can just walk off the shop and eat, kind of a snack. Anyway, so this pie has been going around for years and years, and it's a kind of a cultural thing. But now they are there's some brands going towards more like a crafty, kind of branded, better, instead of just be a corner shop. No, they have the whole brand and the whole kind of marketing materials, their website, everything is really nice. It reminds me, kind of looks like a crafty beer place, kind of the thing. Anyway, so there was this shop called Fat Bastards.
Ooh.
Also,
It's really bold. You wouldn't choose that for your brand as a name,
Yeah.
but they've been growing so much in New Zealand now because A is a bold statement, and the colors. So they're very retro. They're using kind of the logo is more like Looney Tunes type of thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
it's just like, okay, that draws attention straight away because the name, obviously. You kind of say, okay, is a restaurant. What is that? And then you go in, it's a pie, and they have some crazy kind of flavors and everything. But I found the brand so out there and screaming and shouting and kind of catchy because it's a swear word here. You can't say that. You can't say that.
I mean, also, I apologise if the word that I said crap, because I know some people see that as a swear word too. But yeah, you can't have swear words, can you? That's another thing around your brand.
Exactly.
But it drew you in, just as this toilet paper drew me in. And the bottom line is, it's just a toilet roll and it's just a pie. But that brand caught our attention.
yeah. True.
And there's a market for it.
Yeah.
There's a market. People might go because they find funky and funny. And then they discover the brand, and obviously the brand is good, and they become a client.
Yeah.
But it's a bold statement to make. It's a bold move.
Yeah, I think even in season 2, Angela, we talked about this brand called Feastables, Mr. Beast. Again,
Beast,
but Mr. Beast. The color pop. I've never seen the pop of color in such a way. And recently, it launched in India, in the Indian market, and the market is haywire after Mr. Beast's launch because they have not seen a color pop up like that, like such a deep color pop, such bold colors, but not realizing that it's a chocolate or a protein bar for that matter. But the product and the branding is like a bit of opposites. But I think founders have taken that kind of risk, that what if we put in bold colors, how will that be perceived?
Yeah.
So Angie, I've noticed that you've been traveling quite a bit now, doing some participating events and speaking at events. How was the Edinburgh event?
It was really good. That was my first, I suppose, solo spot when I was interviewed on a stage, but it was my first. I wasn't on a panel, and it was me by myself. And it's interesting because we're all founders here, aren't we? And we're all doing our marketing for our businesses. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get my voice out there and be heard. And it was good. So I talked about my freelancing journey, and that was at the International Magazine Centre. And Nikki Simpson, she runs it, and I was interviewed on stage by Peter Houston, and we talked about magazines, we talked about design life, and talked about freelancing. And what was really great about that, there was a lot of students also in the audience, MA students, so they're quite mature, and we had some chats afterwards, and some of them wanted selfies with me. I was like, okay. But,
Wow.
I was like, well, I'm not that famous. But anyway, it was really, really nice. And it was really good to be talking to Peter about my journey and just as I am here with you guys talking about it. Other places I've been to, last week I was in Milton Keynes and I was on a panel talking about, again, my business and what I was on a mentoring program. And there's a women in business leadership program and talk to them about my business and also some challenges within your business. And just again, it was like speed mentoring. It was really good. It was really good.
Brilliant.
It was good. It was good networking and making connections. Definitely, it was. Yeah, it's been a lot this year.
Yeah, and that's part of your strategy, I guess. You want to do more of this, speaking at events or conferences. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Angela, as we speak about mentoring, can you advise, like, give us like 2 to 3 advices for people who want to go into graphic designing, like aspiring to be graphic designers?
Sure.
Where should they begin from? Because a lot of people just take some few things as a milestone and don't go ahead with it.
Yeah, it's interesting because especially nowadays in the age of AI and the age of, should I say, Canva and Adobe Express, and people think, no, but it's true. People think they could be a graphic designer, and if it's for your business and you have to do some add-ons, that's fine. But if you want to know how it works properly and how for example, and it's just a very, really simple idea, just how grids work and how things align and your eye and how people see things and how you're perceived by people, I'd say get formal training if you can. 100%. And like what I did an evening and a day course. It didn't mess up too much of my time. There are courses online. I know there's one by a guy called Yes, I'm a Designer. And he has an online course. And I think I've not tried it myself, so I can't advocate to say that this works. But if you're starting out and wanting to learn formal graphic design, I know he's got a course and it looks good. It's interesting because I love buying courses, so I don't want to recommend people buying courses they don't finish it, because I don't finish courses.
Oh, no.
I think we all excited. Yeah,
we all been there.
You get all excited about buying courses, which I have done. I think I mentioned recently the only course that I have finished is an SEO course that I bought, and that is a really good course.
Wow.
So number one, I'd get some formal training if you can. Number two, if you can, buy your domain name and build yourself a website. 100%. You're future-proofing yourself for when you're ready to go out there. Even if you don't use it and you might change it to a company name. For example, I started off as AngelaLyons.com. I still own AngelaLyons.com. I still pay for it. I've paid for it for the next how many ever years because I've just got it on auto-renew because I might need that back one day. But at the moment, I've got Lyons Creative. So first off, get some formal training if you can. Buy your domain name. And number 3 is create your portfolio. Start creating your portfolio. Start looking at what other people are doing out there. Say for example you're into magazines. Maybe look at what I do. And also, not saying that I should recommend this all the time. I get people contact me on in LinkedIn, or they DM me and say, could you give me a bit of advice? And I do that. I've always given it for free. I give advice. Reach out to someone that's in the industry themselves and ask them for advice and how they can start. So yeah, I'd say do the training. Even if you are working, do some form of training. Domestika has really good courses too. I'd also say, buy a domain name and start building your portfolio. Start doing some projects. Make up some, not fake projects, but projects that you can put in your portfolio. Yeah.
So would you say conceptual projects? So for example, I like a brand. I'll just design something for that brand and use for myself.
Yeah.
Kind of conceptual or...
You could do that. Say, for example, Nike have got a rebrand that they want to go into. Just say, for example's sake, they want to design some kits for animals, some headbands for animals. Why don't you set up a project saying, I'm going to design some headbands for puppies or something like, dogs or something like that. Just example's sake.
That would sell a lot, by the way.
I'm just giving away an idea. Drat. But this is another thing. Be careful when you give away ideas, because you're giving away somebody, if you picture them with an idea, you don't know later on down the line, this has happened before and I've seen it happen before. And I said, I've seen it to a few friends where they've pitched an idea and you see it actually come to life, and you just think that is wrong, especially if they've not
Wow.
been paid for it.
Yeah.
Um, and and if it's not copyrighted or you haven't patented it,
There's
there's
nothing
nothing
you can.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
There's
nothing
nothing you can do.
But if you want to, I'd say, build a portfolio, it can be conceptual, or just even take, say, for example, Freelancer magazine. If somebody said, I'm going to design a feature for Freelancer magazine, I'm going to strip all the copy out, I'm going to design it in a different way, choose a different font, choose different images, choose a different layout altogether. That's one project right there. Look at Pinterest. Go on Pinterest, take a project on Pinterest, strip it apart, do it yourself. So that's just easy ways just to build, if you want some ideas to build projects by yourself.
So I've heard that you have a podcast now. Don't know who told me, but she works for Lyons Creative.
Oh,
So yeah, you have a podcast now, in.
I do. It's called Creatives Like Us, and I'm talking to creatives of colour. And because throughout my career, it's been great, and don't get me wrong, I've had some ups and downs, but there are times when I walk into a room and I might not see somebody that looks like me. Most of the time, I never see anyone that looks like me. So I know they're out there. I know there are creators out there, but I'm talking to people that I think their voices should be heard, get amplified, and hopefully encourage people wanting to work in that industry, as well as students, graduates, if they see someone that looks like them out there, thinking, "Oh, I can do that." Because sometimes we do see colour as a barrier, and companies do see that as a barrier. So I would like to amplify the voices and talk about people in the creative industries. So I've had a graphic designer on, I've had an animator, a really cool animator that we know, Andre. I'm going to hopefully be talking to a jewellery designer, a poet. So it's not just around, when I say creative, I don't just mean graphic design or an artist, or I would talk to anyone that's in a creative industry. I've talked to somebody that works in diversity and inclusion, but I can see she's creative because the way she puts content out there and the way she's actually produced a book out of it. So that's creative. So
wow.
yeah, so that's where.
Oh, nice one. Good.
Nice.
Well done.
A good
Yeah.
one. Yeah, it's a very different concept.
So if someone never had a graphic designer to work with in the past, I'm just starting my brand, I contact you. So how can I make sure that I can use you or the graphic designer to the fullest? I don't waste both our times. What any advice that you can give?
Good question. That's really good, because that's the thing is there are hundreds, thousands of graphic designers out there. So I suppose the first stuff is, why would you come to me and use me to the fullest? I've been doing it for 20 years, and this experience, I'd say, how to use me to the fullest. I would always end on what else can I do for you, or what else would you like me to do? Or I'd say, for example, somebody wanted just a brand. I'm not saying just a brand, because we know a brand encompasses quite a lot. I'd say, what else can I add on with that? Is there anything else? Your services, do you need some social media graphics to promote that? So just think about all the other elements within what your company might need to promote your business, because at the end of the day, it's marketing, and we have to tell people about your business. So is it a brochure you need? Is it a website you need? It's to use me to the fullest. I say, first off, always look at my website. Look at LinkedIn profiles, and that's, again, if you're choosing any graphic designer, always look at what they can actually offer you, because one graphic designer might not be able to offer you what another one can. Another thing is definitely, before, I know somebody recently said they'd cut this service out their packages completely, is having in that first initial call. I just think I have to do it, and somebody says they don't do it anymore. They just said, you have to book me and pay for me. We start working straight away, and it works both ways as far as I'm concerned. I have turned down projects before because that person might not. I just don't feel, you get a vibe. I hate turning down work. As we know, it's an independent business. But if you know that that's going to cause you more grief along the way, you just have to say no. So I actually wrote a blog saying one of the reasons not to work with me.
Wow.
I love that.
That's actually nice.
I love that.
But twist it around. There's actually, I always end up with a saying, but I can do this, I can do this. So it's you have to twist it around, because otherwise you'll just end up wasting time. It's just, yeah. And the person actually read it. He actually read it and told me he said he loved it.
Because of the twist.
Because of the twist.
The tweet, yeah.
Yeah.
So we talked about obviously how you started and what you've been doing for the last few years in the graphic design world and the magazines and the events and everything, your podcast, your newsletter. So Andrew, what's next? What do you see coming in the future?
Hopefully speaking at more events. As you said, getting the podcast out there. Work-wise, I think I'm going to be a little bit... I was thinking about this and I've been working plans to be more strategic with my work. And don't get me wrong, I'm not dropping all my... Don't worry, clients, I'm not dropping you. So I do have a few retainer clients. But I'm going to be very cautious of who I work with and saying yes and no to projects, I think. And it's nothing to do with like, what's the word? It's nothing ethical or anything like that. It's more so I've just got to be more strategic in my timings, because I have got more things coming up, like the going out and networking, and so that limited time for work has got to be strategic. And also, I learn quite a lot. I do like learning from people. I'm part of I don't know if you know the Alt Marketing School with Fab. And they've put really good things in place and strategies in place where I can learn from and try and implement myself. And that's why I'm going to try and be more strategic with things.
Exciting.
I'm also creating events called Creatives Like Us, and it's got the same name as my podcast, and it's kind of the same theme actually. But we saw it being advertised. Me and my friend Io saw a space in Shoreditch being advertised, and they wanted to offer the space up free, and we said sure. And we said, great, we'll create a workshop and create an evening for creators of colour to come together, to network, to get some insights. We've got someone that's working legal, we've got creative coming, we've got some mindfulness, and it's called Creative Like Us because we couldn't think of another name. So I said, just call it the same name as my podcast, and it all ties in.
So I think we're reaching the end of this episode. Angela, thank you very much for joining us. For those of you who are listening and watching, if you want to follow Angela on her socials or website, Angela?
Yeah, my website is lionscreative.co.uk. Socials is Angela Lyons 1. That's the LinkedIn profile, and Instagram is Ange_Lyons, and that's about it, I think, because I am on Twitter and I am on Threads, but I'm kind of more active on LinkedIn and Instagram and my website. But can I just say thank you for having me? I just think it's really amazing. Oh, one more thing, I remember something. And my newsletter, Font Love Friday and Every Designer Thinks, is out. It's out on the last Friday of the month. Sorry, now I can say it. Thank you for having me.
Hi, it's me, Prachi. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to check Angela's website and her social media links in the description below. Also, make sure to subscribe or follow us wherever you are watching or listening to this. And please share this episode and leave a comment. See you again in 2 weeks. Bye.